Welcome to CinemaScope. Bill and Ted 3 is finally here. But is it any good? Bill and Ted Face the Music was released on the 28th of August 2020, straight to streaming. No theatrical release for this one. On a low budget of $25 million. I know, right? $25 million. Low budget. But it is Hollywood. Bill and Ted Face the Music brings back Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter in their pivotal roles as Bill and Ted. What are you doing? Oh, this one's distracting me. Aren't you, eh? You're distracting Daddy from working. It's not really working now, is it? Because I ain't getting paid. No, I wasn't a massive fan of Bill and Ted 1 and 2. I mean, I watched it when it first came out on TV. Back in the early 90s. Always preferred Excellent Adventure over Bogus Journey because I prefer time travel over going down to see hell and God and all that kind of stuff, Time travel is just more fun. This one has a little bit of both. We have some time travel and we have some visits to hell, although the hell stuff is pretty short, to be honest with you. It did feel a little bit shoehorned in just to get Bill Sadler back as Death. Released 30 years after Bogus Journey, well, 29 years to be precise. Bill and Ted Face the Music. But do they actually face the music? The whole movie is really about them writing their song that saves the universe.
We need to hear the song. In 77 minutes and 25 seconds. You have everything you require. Get to work.
Wild Stallions have to write this amazing song that brings the planet Earth and the galaxy and the universe all together and saves it from the brink of destruction or non-existence or something. It's not really explained that well. Essentially, Bill and Ted meet their future selves to try and find out how to write this song, and they're really struggling. They haven't done it. They end up in marriage counselling with the princesses, and their marriage is on the rocks because they do everything together. It's always Bill and Ted. It's always us. They don't really have much individuality, which is probably the major issue with their daughters, because their daughters are in this. Not sons. They do have two daughters, but they're pretty much carbon copies impersonating Bill and Ted. It's like, okay, Bill's daughter and Ted's daughter behave exactly like Bill and Ted, which I thought was a bit of a waste.
Dude, our dads are totally in trouble. I feel so bad for them. They've been doing this on their own for the longest time.
Yeah, I wish there was some way we could help them out,
Yeah. But how?
You got two good actresses. You got Samara Weaving, who was great in The Babysitter, and you got the bird from Atypical. She's always good, but it's just they didn't have any individuality. It just felt like they were doing caricatures of Bill and Ted, which was the weakest part of the film, because we do see the daughters travel back in time and collect old musicians, well, dead musicians. You've got Jimi Hendrix, Louis Armstrong, Mozart, some others. And that stuff's kind of interesting, but they're just behaving like Bill and Ted. It's a bit of a rehash off the first movie, because that's pretty much what they do in the first movie. They go back in time to get historical figures for their history exam. And this time it's musicians to help them write the song. The daughters acted well, but it felt very forced. And of course, when they go to the future, Bill and Ted go to the future. Actually, no, Rufus's daughter comes back in time to pick them up, to take them. I pretty much tell them, look, this thing has to be done tonight. You've got to write this song pretty much now. Here's all your equipment. Here's all your guitars and whatnot. Do it. And of course, they can't do it. So they decide to go into the future.
Bill, my friend.
Yes, Ted, my friend?
I have a feeling things are about to change in a most outstanding way.
I could not agree more.
Find themselves in the future, where hopefully they've written this song, and steal it off them. That's the best part of the movie, because we get some laughs and we get some very good makeup with Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter looking older, especially when they get to the bit when they're in prison. They look like real bodybuilders, but with Keanu Reeves' face and Alex Winter's face. No, it was seamless. I couldn't tell whether it was just amazing makeup, like a bodysuit, or amazing face replacement, full CG. I don't know what it was, but for the low budget, it looked really good. And we also see them near the end of the movie when they're really old. And again, it's seamless. Now the performances, the girls were good. Like I say, the girls acted fine, the daughters, but just their characters were weak. But Bill and Ted themselves, perfectly fine. Alex Winter, I think, had more energy than Keanu. He seemed really pumped and ready to do this, to go. And considering he hasn't acted in 20 years either, Alex did a damn good job. I heard he went back to have some lessons for this movie. But he's a director now, he directs documentaries, but I think he was passionate about the project. Keanu didn't seem to have as much passion, he seemed a bit tired, looked a bit old.
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
I think he should have kept the beard, because some of the promo shots, some of the early shots before they start shooting, he had his beard, his John Wick beard. Looked a lot better with the beard and long hair, or I think he shouldn't have had the long hair in it. Now, considering the budget was quite low, and this movie took 10 years to make as well, so I guess in the end they thought, okay, Bill and Ted wasn't massive back in the day, it did all right, obviously it did enough to make a sequel, but they didn't want to pump too much money into it. This isn't a $100 million movie, this is a $25 million movie. And for the most part, the effects look alright. The visual effects, the CG looks fine. Yeah, and the great leader from the future, she doesn't have much hope after Bill and Ted run off, so she thinks they're not going to try and do the song. So they're desperate, it's the end of the universe. So she sends a robot through time, or back in time I guess, to kill Bill and Ted. Which does happen. Bill and Ted do die, along with the daughters. They do end up in hell. Ted's father's back in it as the cop. He's always good. He ends up back in hell too. And at first the robot's very has like a deep robotic voice. I'm going to kill you kind of thing,
You must not fail.
Must not fail.
After it kills them all, and it ends up in hell too. I mean, how a robot dies and ends up in hell. I know it's Bill and Ted, but it kind of has a change of heart, and it becomes, I guess, it becomes a comedy character. It becomes a bit like a Jar Jar Binks.
What about a tambourine? I mean, how hard can it be to rock with that?
Tambourine is not as easy as it looks.
What about dancing? I'm a very gifted dancer.
You dance? Really? Why don't you go over there and rehearse your dance?
The actor's fine, he's trying with the dialogue, but the whole movie felt a bit forced for me. Considering it's a comedy, I didn't laugh once. I enjoyed the movie, but I didn't laugh once. It was more like, oh, this is interesting. Let's see what happens, but it wasn't funny for me. So the daughters, little Ted and little Bill, I'm not even sure what the names are, Theo and Billy, I guess, I think. They end up bringing these musicians back into present day. So they bring the musicians back. They all get on, they happen to be on a highway or freeway, which is clearly a set, with an extension. And they kind of start playing music, and the girls don't play instruments, but they have ideas. They know a lot about their music, because that's why they go back in time to get all the musicians, so that they do know their music. So they start telling all these famous musicians what they should do. They start playing and they start going, no, do that, do this, and in the end we get a song. Is it a good song? It was alright. It wasn't great. They play the song for about 5 minutes. The portal disappears. We cut to the future. Earth and the galaxy is saved. Cuts back to them playing the song, and then it kind of just ends. That's it. Cut to credits. I was like, whoa, that's it? There was no epilogue, no wrap up, no message with his daughters and whatnot, and Bill and Ted coming together. Nothing. It just ended. Bill and Ted, it gets a 6.2 I think on IMDb at the minute. A 6.2 score on IMDb. Noisy bear! Look at my noisy bear. So Bill and Ted on the whole, Bill and Ted Face the Music. It was alright. It wasn't great. it was a bit of a mess. But Bill and Ted are nice and fun, goofy characters. They were always good to watch. Just a shame the story wasn't bigger in scope, and it's just a shame the daughters were just caricatures. That ruined it for me. So what did you think of Bill and Ted Face the Music? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just okay? Leave a comment, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. And maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, future travellers, I'm Nathan Jarvis, and this is CinemaScope.